I will call to order the meeting of the Policy Committee for November the 4th, 2020. Like I said, we have a relatively short agenda tonight in that we only have second readings. And just to explain to the community why that's the case, we typically don't have a policy meeting in December. And so therefore we don't bring any first readings to the table this evening, because then the second readings would essentially be skipping a month. So we're just going to talk about second readings that we talked about in first reading last month. And then when we resume for our next meeting in January, we will start anew with another round of first readings and continue our policy work. So with that brief introduction, Dr. Yanni, any announcements or communications?
There are none this evening.
Very good. We'll next move to the minutes. We have minutes from our October 7th, 2020 Policy Committee meeting. They've been circulated and available. Do any of my committee members have any questions or comments about the minutes?
No.
Okay. With the committee's approval, I'd like to move the minutes forward as an informational item to the legislative agenda. If the committee members could all just affirm their agreement to that.
I agree.
Thank you.
Excellent. We'll move that forward to the legislative agenda. And now we'll move right into the second readings that I talked about. As I mentioned, we discussed all four of these policies in first reading last month. I know for a couple of them, we addressed some questions and discussion last month. So we'll start with 203, which is the immunization and communicable diseases policy. I know that we added a couple definitions, Dr. Yanni, to try to clarify a couple of the points. Anything else we should know about this policy on second reading?
We did strike the language on the second page of the policy, that starts with a medical exemption for a specific antigen. That was a question at our last meeting, and in consultation with our solicitor, we felt that that information could be removed from the policy. So we have the two new definitions, and we have that language that has been removed. The one piece in this policy that I think bears a little bit of discussion to make sure that it's clear enough is the definition around religious reasons. So the way we have it worded is children need not be immunized if the parent, guardian, or emancipated child objects in writing to the immunization on religious grounds or on the basis of a strong moral or ethical conviction similar to a religious belief. So I wanted to open that up to make sure that we think that's clear, or if there are any recommendations that anyone feels that we need to make that clear if it's not already clear.
And I'll just piggyback on that language comes right out of the school code. I actually think it's verbatim out of the school code. So not to say we can't clarify if it needs clarification, but I just wanted the committee and the board and the community to know that that's not a definition that we have come up with. It is one that is in the school code. Mr. Sirota, I think I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, and as I said last month, before I realized it was part of school code, I think that language is, I'll charitably say, weak. However, it's in school code and directly in school code, and therefore it is the defensible language. So I think anything we would try to do would be inherently subjective or challengeable, and the safest and probably best thing to do is to stick with the school code language.
I concur.
I agree as well. Ms. Franzik, your hand was up. I don't know if that was just to concur or if you have another comment.
I'm good. That was concur.
Dr. Davis, I saw your hand, but now it's down.
Right. I was concurring as well. I think that, using the school code language is the safest way to go.
Very good. Any other questions or comments on 203? Okay. With the committee's agreement, we will move that forward to the legislative agenda. Everybody in agreement?
Yes.
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 Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll then move to policy 209, which is health examinations. Dr. Yanni, anything that was changed from first reading that we should know about for this one?
There's nothing that has been changed, but if I could direct everyone's attention to the last page of the policy, right above delegation of responsibility, where it says the district shall destroy student health records only after the student has not been enrolled in district schools for at least 2 years. What I think is most prudent to do for clarity is add language there that basically says that at the end of a school year, if any student that disenrolls, they withdraw, their records are set aside, and once we're 2 years out, then they will be destroyed. And the reason, I've run that idea by our solicitor. One of the things that we want to be really clear about, this is one of the parts of the policy that could be interpreted differently by different people. And we don't want records to be destroyed at inappropriate times. So, in other words, with the language that I'm proposing, if a student withdraws this year or graduates this year, their health records are put to the side. Then in 2 years, after a 2-year period, then those are the records that need to be destroyed. I think that keeps it clean and it keeps us aligned to this policy.
Dr. Yanni, are all the documents housed that you're referring to paper-based? Are you referring to the paper documents, or is there an electronic record as well?
So things have changed over time. We still have many paper items, but we also do have some electronic means as well. But it would fall, everything would fall under, I spoke about this with Mr. Diazio, everything that's health related, whether it would be electronic or it would be actual paper, would fall under this policy, and it would be destroyed after the 2-year period.
Thank you.
Dr. Yanni, just so I'm clear, the sentence you're just describing, that would be an additional sentence after the existing sentence, or is your proposal to replace the existing sentence with what you've described?
I would see it adding an IE and then adding that information to make sure it's clear.
Very good.
I'm not sure I like doing it with an IE because I don't think that what you're saying is exactly the same thing as what this says. This says this is the soonest that records could be destroyed, but it doesn't. This doesn't say that they shall ever be destroyed or must be destroyed or anything like that. So I don't think an IE is appropriate. But I do appreciate the clarification because I do think it is necessary to be more specific.
So then instead of the IE, why don't, well, I mean, maybe we should make it more definitive where we say the district shall destroy after 2 years and not leave it open. So we can actually take it one of two ways. We can leave it like it is and add some clarification, and we don't have to do it with an IE, or we can take that and we could say, after 2 years, after a student has not been enrolled for 2 years, the district shall destroy student health records.
So there's a school code, 2 school code references on this sentence. Does this language come straight out of school code? I haven't actually looked.
It does.
Okay, so in that case, I would propose that we leave it and then add a sentence afterwards. Could be exactly or very close to the sentence you said, but just without the IE.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that.
Yes, me too.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so we'll make that addition there. I don't see that as being a substantive change. That I think that that's just a clarification, and that with the committee's agreement, we can still move this forward for second reading at the legislative meeting. Agreed?
Can you just reiterate what we're changing, what the sentence is?
I'll paraphrase. Dr. Yanni, tell me if I've got this right. But
Sure.
we're going to add a sentence to say that at the end of a school year in which a student has withdrawn or disenrolled from the district, that the school district shall destroy that student's health records after 2 years. Did I get that right, Dr. Yanni?
I think it's probably two sentences. One is,
Yeah.
at the end of a school year, those records will be marked for deletion. And then a second sentence that says at the end of each year, those records will marked for deletion in that year will be deleted or
Good
destroyed.
point.
Correct.
I should say destroyed, not deleted.
Or we're deleting the sentence that's currently there, obviously. I mean,
No,
we're doing-
I'm recommending that we leave it because it's also in school code.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't conflict.
It doesn't conflict. Okay.
No, and I just want to make one point. In the previous policy, when I asked if, I'm never suggesting that we don't use school code language, but what I am suggesting is, remember that much of the school code was written in 1949, and unless there have been omnibus bills in the, since then, a lot of what's written in school code language is very loose and up for a lot of different interpretations, which is why we review policies. So I don't want to give anyone the impression that I'm trying to change school code language, but I think we do have to be cognizant that we have to be as specific as possible when we see gray language like this.
Yeah, and just so everyone's clear, I mean, the school code provision that we're talking about, which is section 24 PS 1409, does say the school districts, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, shall not destroy a child's health record for a period of at least 2 years after the child ceases to be enrolled. So it does comport with the sentence that is in the policy at the moment. But Dr. Levinowitz, I kind of agree with the prior comments that I don't know that we want to change that. We just want to augment and clarify, recognizing, I think, the point that you're raising, which is that it's a little bit overlapping, but it's not inconsistent in how it overlaps.
I'll be more specific a bit than that. I think the school code, for good reason, to protect the student's record, says you got to hang on to them for 2 years. But to protect the school district, we don't want to hang on to them for longer than we have to.
Right.
That's not in school code because it doesn't need to be. But for our own purposes, we do want to specifically say that we will destroy records after they're no longer needed and no longer required by law.
Fair point. Good point, Mr. Sirota. So I think we'll have two sentences then that create those sentences after the existing one. Is that clear to everybody now? Hopefully.
Yes.
And I'll share that out tomorrow just so that everyone has that language, just so that we're all clear.
Appreciated, Dr. Yanni. Okay. Any other questions or comments on 209? If not, with the committee's agreement and with that change that Dr. Yanni will circulate, are we in agreement to move this one forward to the legislative agenda?
Yes.
Very good. Appreciate it. Next is 310, which is telework. And I know last time on first reading, we had a discussion after Ms. Kitten proposed a deletion, and that has been deleted from page 2 of the policy. Dr. Yanni, anything else that you want to bring to our attention on second reading?
No, nothing else.
Any questions from the committee or any other board members in attendance? Seeing none, does the committee agree that we'll also move 310 forward to the legislative agenda?
Yes.
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 Very good, appreciated. And last we have 314, which is physical examination. Dr. Yanni, I don't think there were any changes that I recall that jumped out at me from first reading, but anything on your radar screen?
No, there was nothing. And I reviewed this with Ms. Kitten as well. And I don't believe Ashley had anything either.
Very good. Committee members, board members, any questions or comments about 314?
No.
Okay, seeing none. Committee members, are we also in agreement that we'll move 314 forward to the legislative agenda?
Yes.
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 Very good. appreciated. That closes out our short policy report recommendation session for the meeting. We'll move to community input. If any members of the community wish to provide input, please raise your hand virtually and we'll get Ms. Evans to open your microphone, and please just state your name and where you reside in the district before speaking. I'm not seeing any hands go up, but I will just give it a minute to make sure that that is correct. Okay, seeing no hands having gone up, I will close community input. With that, our agenda actually does say that there's a policy committee meeting on December 2nd, but that meeting has been adjourned. I'm correct about that, Dr. Yanni?
Correct. We will resume in January.
So yeah, so it'll probably be the first Wednesday in January after the education committee meeting. Once those dates are confirmed and made available to the community, we will certainly advertise that to the public. But I believe we're going to stick with the format in 2021 that we will be following the education committee meetings.
Correct. And in the meantime, we'll share with the policy committee the list of policies that will be up for review in January, February, March, April, and May to take us, to close out this academic year so that we have a roadmap moving forward of what we're going to be looking at. Our policy book, is in really good shape. It continues to be in really good shape. And so a lot of the policies that we're going to look at over the next couple of months, it's adding Title IX language, it's adding COVID and pandemic language. There's not a ton of substantive changes, unless we discuss wanting to make some more substantive changes in these meetings. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape moving forward. So thank you to everyone for all the feedback on the policies. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Yanni, for doing all that and providing us with all the information to make these committee meetings work. It's greatly appreciated. With that, any other questions or comments from the committee? Seeing none, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening. We are adjourned.
Okay, so long.
Thank you, everyone. Good
Stay
night.
well, everyone.
Good night.